The SA Weather Service has warned initiation schools to be cautious as temperatures plummet throughout the country. Pardon me. An orange level 6 warning has been issued for most parts of the Eastern Cape, which is currently observing the initiation season. Now, authorities have advised schools to provide warm shelters for initiates. Let's get you an update on what else can be done. Contralesa's Eastern Cape chairperson, Inkosi Mwelo Nonkonyana, joins us via our video line this morning. Inkosi, it's great to talk to you. Thank you very much for coming on to the program. Is this as far... Yeah?
Madam, it is my pleasure talking to you. Good morning to you and to all your viewers at home.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for that warm greeting. Inkosi, is this as far as we can go to protect initiates, providing warm shelters?
It is absolutely necessary that boys who undergo initiation from boyhood to manhood must be protected at all times. And particularly during winter season. We know in the Eastern Cape we've got the coastal that during summer is too hot, but the mountainous areas like Herschel, Maluti, Jogabi area is mild and is fine for summer. But in winter, it is a no-no. Hence, in fact, it is custom that during this time, Jogabi area, Herschel, Fletcher, Matatiel, all those areas, they don't undergo initiation. But those that are along the coast, the OR Tambo, portion of Alfred Nzo, as well as Nelson Mandela and Buffalo City areas, they are the regions that are undergoing. And again, as you correctly pointed out, we are now confronted with almost unprecedented winter that is very, very, very cold, and which necessitates that cause our initiates must be taken care of in their initiation lodges.
I suppose what I'm asking you, Inkosi, is given the unique challenges that this cold weather and the snow in the Eastern Cape does pose for this initiation season, is there a context in which we can delay the season?
No. The season can never be delayed because the parents, as well as all the authorities, must have prepared from the beginning of the year almost, and the boys are ready, and there's no way that you could say they should not undergo. And more than above that, there are also ceremonies of them coming back home. All those things are planned already, but what is necessary is that we must make sure that our boys are safe in their initiation lodges. It is dangerous, of course, to have a fire there. And you may recall that during COVID, we, as Contralesa, indicated that no, those liquids that can cause fire should be banned, and we and our government agreed in that regard. Hence, we're using water and soap for washing. And now, again, it is dangerous to have fires there inside, and but we can use other things to make sure that our boys are actually in a very, very environment, in a good environment, conducive for them to stay there alive, because we believe that they must go there alive and come back home alive.
Indeed.
And indeed, I can indicate that 3 boys already died in Buffalo City, and we don't know as yet details, but the lodge caught fire, and we don't know what. has caused it so far. But we are investigating the matter, and we suspect that there was some fire that was there, perhaps, and they slept during that warmth. Hence, we were saying that those boys, the men who are taking care of these boys, must do so 24 hours. Make sure that there's no one who is asleep. Everyone must be wide awake to make sure that things of this nature don't happen.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying about all of the plans that have been put in place, especially by the boys' families for this initiation season. But one just wonders, Inkosi, at what cost do we go ahead with this initiation season despite the weather, despite the serious challenges that the weather brings? That's the one part of my question. What's the cost of forging ahead with this initiation season? Because as you say, we want all of these boys to go to initiation alive and come back alive. And then secondly, if there are any challenges at the initiation schools, the weather also makes it incredibly difficult for medical help to get there. Are you confident that the leaders who are there will be capable of dealing with any medical emergencies as a direct result of this weather?
First of all, and let us just use another, the road carnage, for instance. There are areas that it is very dangerous to drive, and many people then they will die unless drivers drive carefully. And that analogy can be used here, unless and until all those that are involved are doing so carefully, well knowing that people that are there deserve to be protected at all times. It's important. And on the other issue of the boys, I think the second question, what was the question?
It was around the unique challenges of actually getting medical help should there be a need for it.
Yes, thank you. And indeed, in terms of our own custom, and of course in terms of even of the legislation, these areas must be accessible. And clearly, therefore, these initiation lodges must be accessible. There are 4x4s, there are horses, there are everything else to help. And we don't think, therefore, that it is physically impossible. That is why we've banned all those who are taking our boys to areas that are not accessible at all, because there's some mischief of that nature. And we can agree with you that those areas should not continue. But the boys must be actually taken from those areas to the areas that are accessible. Precisely for the point you are making, the life there, their lives must be really protected at all times.
Yeah, and in fact that was a sentiment that was echoed by the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, exactly what you've just said, that surgeons should remove initiates from schools where they cannot be easily accessed during the weather conditions. No. On the issue of government, Inkosi, what kind of support are these initiation schools getting from government in the form of equipment, for example?
We do have numerous challenges in that regard. And initially, of course, it was the Department of Health that was helping a great deal, and having the 4x4s and will assist us. But I think then that, of course, the primary issue that needed to be dealt with, the elephant in the room, as it were, is to restore powers and functions to the institutions themselves, and give them the necessary tools to do that, and more above that, the budget. And we have got numerous challenges in this regard. As you know, In terms of the act now, the minister at the national level of COGTA is a woman in charge, and which is taboo in our own custom. Of course, we are happy in the Eastern Cape because the premier is the person that has undergone the custom, is a man. But in terms of the legislation, hence we are saying that our kings and traditional leaders, royalties must be involved, and the leaders in the Khoi and San communities must be directly involved and be given the necessary powers to deal with these things. And also, of course, the point we're making, they must be given the necessary infrastructure and the tools to make sure that no ragamuffins continue to do this, because behind all this are the people who are not accredited by traditional institutions. They continue to do that because they earn some money at the expense of needy and poor people, particularly women who are single-handed or households. And they are being taken advantage of those things. But if we on the ground are actually empowered, we could be able to deal with this, identify where the circumcision lodges must be, and make sure that experienced men are in charge in each and every community. And even in towns, for instance, we do have people who are working hard. Initially, Nelson Mandela was actually a problem, but after we had a partnership with Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality, we can't foresee anything there.
Inkosi Nonkonyana, let me thank you for your time this morning. And of course, the hope as we go into this initiation season is, as you say, that the boys will go there and come back alive.